Hello.
Hi.
So my name is Lisa Ducasse. I come from Mauritius originally, and I've been living in France for the past 5, 6 years. And I'm a poet, and I also write songs and perform them. And based on the mostly the tradition of chanson française, and then for like the poetry, I'm very inspired by the spoken word anglophone movements, and kind of draw inspiration from these two very culturally anchored movements over time.
Hello, I am Céline Dessberg. I play several instruments, I write songs, and I sing. I write in French and English, and that's it.
I think I've always really liked collaborating with other artists because that's how I got into music in the first place. Because I come from a family of writers, and so writing has always been part of my environment and of like who I am. And when I first moved to Paris, I first started performing poetry at a place called Spoken Word Paris. Well, it's not really a place, but it's more like a gathering of people who do live performances of poetry and music. And so through those people, I met several musicians that I collaborated with over the years. And that's kind of how I got into music, because some of the people I would collaborate with would have projects of their own, and I would sing for their project, and we would do kind of like an exchange. And so collaboration for me has always been, I think, one of the things I told Celine when we were thinking about how to work together, like how to prepare the set, was that I like not to explain the poems beforehand too much, because what I find really interesting about collaboration is how you have one story and one relationship to what you've written, to the work you've created, and then another person has their relationship to that work you've created and has their own relationship with the work they've created. And when you put those two things together, then it's a third thing. It's not just an addition of the two, but it becomes a third thing. And I think that like the birth of that third thing is what I like the most about collaboration.
So, what Lisa said also was that she's writing, and I've been struggling writing words because I prefer to share sounds, and we were very completing each other with this thing because I was making the music and she was saying the words. So that's what I liked about it, because we were basically like giving our best and spreading love. So as a child, I was very attracted by the guitar because I was listening to rock. So that's the first instrument I learned, and also I've always been very attracted by things I could touch and that produce sound. And that's how I started piano as well, and then the harp, which is a Mongolian harp called Yatka. Um, it's also interesting to be working with this instrument because I can also mix my two cultures. Um, because the sounds are oriental, but the way I write and compose is more occidental in a way. Um, and yeah, I like to make cute songs. Yeah, so there were a part in my life when I really thought that singing was something you could be ashamed of. That was when I was, I don't know, a teenager, and then I could play guitar and sing at the same time, and I was like, oh, it's okay, it's not too, I don't know, it's not something you should be ashamed of. But I've always been singing as a child. Then I paused, and then I went back, and yeah, I use it also as an instrument. I like to combine the melody and the instrument together. So I really try to mix different genres. That's also a reason why I don't sing the same way on every song, every piece has its own, like cocktail of inspirations, which makes them from rock to jazz to Mongolian to anything that I like, because I actually listen to every genres. I don't really have any.
Yeah, I think I had up until the past 3 years or 2 years maybe, I had a very classical approach to song, like to my kind of songwriting, which would be, as I said, really influenced by the tradition of chanson française, and so artists I really admire like Barbara Aprel, and where the text is at the center of the piece usually. And recently I've been exploring a lot more, like opening my musical horizons a lot more towards, like I've been listening to a lot of like a band like Sylvain Esso or La Chica, who lives in France, and just like, yeah, looking into more like electro-based composition, but also just having fun with sounds as well, like exploring really the sound side of it, to create with just different sounds, and so I think I'm kind of on that road to making those things meet, and having something that's still very much anchored in like the text and everything, but also have a real exploration of sound that's linked to it, and that carries it, that helps carry it.
I want to start talking about this collaboration that
Mm-hmm.
you conformed. So you met each other for like 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's needless to say that you do a beautiful pairing. It's like very.
Thank you.
It's very magical what you do together, and I feel like everybody in the public felt it, and you as well. So I wanted to know first, how did you feel at the beginning when you met each other, and like the first times that you started working and trying to figure out this collaboration? I just want to know like the first impressions. How did it go?
So when we talked, and like you mentioned Celine, I went and listened to her work, and I really liked it, and I was like, oh yeah, this could really, like, I could see how it would fit, like how the two universes would fit. And I think what we both really liked about putting together this collaboration is that it was kind of going back to a kind of comfort zone for both of us. And because for me, so yeah, I've been doing poetry and poetry performance for way longer than I've been singing, and so it's something that I feel really comfortable with, and that I feel really comfortable doing, and I don't have the stress of like having to do several things at the same time, play and sing, and in a way, like that was it wasn't that it was like easy, and like there's no interest because it was easy. Like it was super, super interesting, because I realized that it had been a long time since I'd done a really like performance-based show, and instead of like singing based, and I felt like going back to that, and to where I felt safest, I could actually bring some of these things into my project, like the solo project, and into how I present that project on stage, and so I was really happy to get a chance to collaborate with Celine, and I think our two worlds really, they're different, but they just like speak to each other really well.
I was surprised because the first time I saw Lisa, we were supposed to meet at my place, and we arrived exactly at the same time. I was like, this is a good beginning. That means we're synchronized. And yeah, it worked out.
How did you felt the first moments that you started, like you playing and she? How did that go? Because I was not there.
Well, I guess, so Lisa read her text, and I was like, is this okay? While playing, I don't know which instrument, but just trying out something. And I tried to adapt, and we kind of adapted each other to each other, and choosing the text with the chords, and yeah, that's what we did.
What was interesting was that we did both, because the first set that we had, for like, which was about 20 minutes long, I think I brought texts, and then you found the compositions that you had that fit the text. And then when we were preparing for the longer set for LOOOM, we did the opposite. So Céline sent me compositions that she had on the piano, and I looked for texts that would match that. So I think, yeah, that was. It's nice that we did that. That we had like both. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very nice. And for example, the first time that you performed together on stage, how did you feel each other's energy? How did you think the first collaboration went?
I think we, like, I was really happy to be back, like to be performing, and I think there was a lot of like nerves linked to that as well, but that since we really like each other's company, like we also had
Funny moments.
yeah, like off stage moments of just napping and in the same room, and just like, yeah, I think the collaboration was also not just what was happening on stage, but also like everything that was happening off stage as well.
Even though I'm super shy and anxious on stage, Lisa was a bit, like calming for me. Like, that was cool. Concerning the set list, we kind of did it the way it was so obvious for us to do. And then afterwards, people came to me after they saw the show, and they were like, oh my god, we had so many surprises. And we were kind of bombarding them with surprises, like, look, we can do this, we can do that, we can do this. And yeah, that wasn't really the plan. I mean, it was not premeditated. Yeah, it wasn't conscious, but that's what happened, and it seemed nice.
I think it's well that like that's what happened, because it's a good thing that's what happened, because one of the maybe apprehensions I could have had is that like only text based, like if it was just me saying words for an hour, yeah, like that can be like I've been to enough poetry readings and performances to know that after a while, even if the poetry is really good, but it's just like it's a different it requires a different attention from the audience than if you're singing and they can kind of lose themselves in the melody. You can lose yourself in the melody of words, but then you'll always feel like you've missed part of what was happening because you weren't focusing on the meaning. So yeah, it requires a different kind of attention and commitment, I feel, on the part of the spectators. So it was good that we managed. We also we knew that we wanted to show our solo projects as well. So that kind of fit in nicely. Like we kind of arranged the set to be able to do that. And I don't think it was patchy. I think there was, because our what we do complements each other so well. Like it made sense. And then having the different instruments, it was a lot of storytelling, I think, like through that, without having an actual story, but just the movements, the changes that we had on stage, evolving from one instrument to another, from one type of performance to another, I think was, and I loved like doing storytelling on stage. So that was an interesting new way of doing that I hadn't explored before. So we each performed 3 songs, and the first one I performed was part of an older project that I did, but I'm still really attached to it, because I think it's actually it might be the first song that I wrote, like, and really went through with, like, had it recorded and everything, and it might have been like the beginning of that process for me, and so I'm still really emotionally attached to it, and I kind of like singing it, so I sang it a cappella, and I like doing that with that song because like it's very melodious, and so there's something a little like a bit like a lullaby or something. Anyway, I think it fits like that it should be like this. And then the 2 other songs I performed are more recent, and they're going to be a part of my releases and EP. And I was also really happy to be able to play with the little turntable, because that's something that I have planned for when I can bring those songs to the stage, because so far I've only performed. I've only sung with other musicians, except few exceptions, but mostly like for bigger venues. And I was kind of looking forward to creating a solo set because of the whole like situation as well. Now it's easier to sell a solo show than a show with 4 musicians, and so yeah, it was interesting to be experimenting with that on stage as well, in a space that felt really safe and really warm and just not judging, and
So yeah, the first one that is titled Danser et pleurer. Second song is called Muse, and it was written when I was in high school, back in the days that I was writing in English. And then the last one is a supposed to be ironic kind of song, but also a bit true, but I'm too shy to admit that it's true, so I say it's ironic, with piano. And these two, so the first one and the last one, are going to be on the EP.
I really like the last one.
Thanks.
I love songs that have that like mauvaise foi.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I get along without you very well.
Yeah.
Is my key example. Of that. But yeah.
Oh yeah.
I just
Big inspiration.
See, sorry. I love songs like that are just like that feeling of, I think it's very clever when it's expressed well, when you manage to make people get that it's like you don't really mean what you're saying and you're kind of meaning the opposite, but also it's kind of like
It's a mind thing,
yeah. But also like there's a lot of feeling involved, because usually like you'll have what the person is saying and you know that it hides a deeper, sometimes sadder emotion, and yeah, those are my favorite type of songs, I think, like my favorite stance at least of songwriting.
Yes, as Lisa has her work, I also have my music that I composed, and some of them has lyrics, but I just didn't sing and let her put her words on them, and some are just pieces, like the long piano one, for example, where I just sing at the end.
Oh, so that's like your song that you usually sing over?
Most of them, yeah,
Okay.
but some
And
pieces are just like
how-
this.
That's very interesting. How did you feel that you were just playing the music and Lisa was taking up like the words and putting her own words in your music? How did you feel about that?
I felt good. I mean, it was just what I like about Lisa's work is that it's close to slam, and I think I didn't see so many women doing this, and I think it's very interesting with your way of embodying your text. So yeah, it was just like my music didn't have the melody I had, but it doesn't matter because when I compose, I just start with the music and then put in melody, and there it was a text with life also. So it was good.
I was thinking, like, while she was speaking, I was thinking of the notion of host. It's like her music hosted my words in a way, or the opposite is true as well. But there was some hosting going on, and I kind of like that. Like I said, like I'm always really curious of what the third story is going to be, and I feel like with Céline and with the energy we had on stage as well, like we're able to really create an experience for the listener that was kind of immersive. At least that's what we hope to do as well. And so because it was immersive for people listening, I think it was also like it had to be immersive for us first for it to work for other people. And so, and I felt like at least we felt that immersion while performing, and we felt like really we're in a kind of space where time is a little suspended, and it felt really nice having that experience. Yeah.
How would you feel about collaborating together again? Would you do it?
Oh yeah,
I think we kind of have to do it. Yeah.
No, because we actually like performed at another event by students of the ESA called it was a tremplin played in D, and we won a prize, and we we will presumably get programmed at a small indie festival in Brittany called On ne lâche rien sauf les chiens, which is a really good festival. And so yeah, we will perform again in the future. Might be in a year, so that will be interesting to kind of
time to prepare
and to see in a year how this collaboration can evolve as well. And
maybe we'll be completely different persons.
For example, would you, I mean, I don't know if we've talked about it, but what about in the future doing like a recorded collaboration? Would you be interested in doing that? You know what I mean?
I mean, if it's financed, okay, we can go do this.
No, we haven't talked about it, but I'd be open to it, and I think, you know, even having, like, I'd love to have Celine play like for on one of my songs, or
It's really something we can keep having on the side because it's less innovation than when we work for our solo plans, you know.
But yeah, it's good to have. I think maybe it was with you I had that conversation about like how multifaceted we are as people and as artists, and sometimes that's not really, especially when you're developing a project and you have to do the opposite. You have to narrow everything down to an essence of you, because that's what you have to present to people, and you kind of have to sell that essence. And so you have to figure out what your identity is, like what's your musical identity, what's your visual identity. Like there's this whole process of narrowing things down and labeling things, and I feel like having different projects and different aspects to each of these projects is kind of going against that, and allowing for just the expression of the fact that as people and as artists we all have like different sides of ourselves, and to be able to show that and to explore that, I think is very rewarding. So I don't think it's subjects that really come into the music I create or the text I write, which are more based on experience and based on, you know, just like mostly the experience of traveling and the experience of meeting people as well, and like it can be imagined as well, like imagined encounters, or but regarding LOOOM, like I found it really interesting that this was the stance that was taken, and because it allowed me as well to discover a lot of female artists I didn't know, and I think that having that, like showing that variety as well, and like the pairings you did, I was thinking also of the Adei and Nella, like the show they put up together. We were talking with Nella about it later, was that for both, like me towards her work and her towards mine, is just like very different from what we're used to listening or seeing on our own time. And so here, like, you created a space where we could discover these other art forms, and we could discover them being made by women, and that's amazing, I think. And it's important to have those platforms and to have that space. So yeah, thank you.
I don't usually talk about feminism in my text, for example, but I try, or I act like a feminist. Especially in music, I really try to work with girls when I do collaboration, but I don't always do collaboration. And also, there's so many girls that are able to go very far because of how the system is, you know, unfortunately. But yeah, I'm very close to everyone. Yeah, I'm not necessarily going to say that I am a feminist, but I'm always going to act like a feminist, if you see what I mean. But yeah, it was really nice to see female artists, and I want to see more. For example, the fact that I play all these instruments and don't have a band, for example, is also because I didn't want to be working with a male. Not saying that they are all trash, you know, just that I could do it by myself, and know that if, for example, your name is written like right next to a guy's name, everyone is gonna think that you're the one who has a cute voice, and that's all, and that the men did all the work, and that was really something I wanted to avoid, and that's what pushed me to get to learn everything by myself.
I think we had a great audience. I was
super cute.
I was really thankful for the audience because people were listening. It's always a little bit of a wonder, like when it's something you should expect, but I don't think you ever fully expect it from people, and it's always like always a bit of a wonder when you realize that people are listening and people are drawn into the performance the way you are and are experiencing it, not the way you are, because everyone experiences it differently, but with maybe the same intensity. And that's always there's something really magical to that, I think. And like I choose the words like specifically to say what I mean, but it's there's something that can't really be explained in terms of that exchange. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And I feel like yesterday's audience was just really open to discover new things as well. And they were open to be taken on a trip and to travel. And I hope that's what we offered.
Well, I don't know. I was only looking at you, Baba. No, just kidding. Yeah, I could see people's eyes being full or empty from love. Like, really, it was really cute. People were, really listening, having fun, and I liked to look at them. But not too much, otherwise I would be lost completely.
So my EP is going to be called Palomino. And it's interesting because it's the title of one of the texts that I performed for LOOOM, that we performed with the harp. And it was actually a translation that I performed because I wrote it in English and then translated it into French at some point to be able to explain like the idea behind the EP, the general idea behind the EP as well. And there's a lot of like themes that are recurrent themes in what I do, whether it be poetry or music, but basically like childhood and traveling and kind of being open to wonder and beauty, and like a lot of it is very hopeful, and I'm hoping that that's what people get from it, just like a feeling of hope and a feeling of none of it is like related to being naive about things, or I don't have a conception of childhood that's linked to just bare innocence, but I think there's something about the ability to wonder when you're a child that I try to convey in what I do, because it's how I try to live. Just being open to having an open eyes and an open heart, and so most of the songs and the texts that are going to be part of that EP are related to that. All of them are in their own way. And so there's going to be a crowdfunding campaign soon, launched soon, for to help with recording costs for the project and just like communication costs and everything that it takes to put music out there today nowadays. And hopefully I'll have a second collection of poems out, maybe not this year, like maybe not before the end of the year, but early next year, because all of them as well are poems that are already written, and I've been waiting for the best way to share them. And I've actually been working with a really good friend of mine who's a programmer in Berlin. Her name is Eva Lahombe, and we were thinking of a format for the collection that would include, so basically, not to reveal too much, but it would be like an app. Like you'd have a paper version, but then you'd also have something like an app that could, because I brought a lot of like ticket stubs and things from my travels, and so it would be very visual. Like you would navigate the poems through through the visual elements attached to them. So you could choose a poem by its title, but you could also just choose a picture, a ticket stub or something, a metro ticket, like something, click on it and then have a poem that's linked to that, and use that medium as a way to have links to performed versions as well, to recorded versions, and so kind of broaden the experience of a poetry collection that's usually something you just that would exist in paper format, but include also the performance aspect, include the musical aspect, maybe include a visual aspect. And so we're working on that at the moment, but it takes its time, and it will be ready when it will be ready. Yeah.
Be ready for when my EP will come out in September. I'll throw an amazing release party. You're not ready. Everyone at my house. I would like to organize a small event, like a concert, for the releasing of the EP, and also I'll make videos that I'll post in the summer, and I'll post single are going to come out before I release the EP. Keep an eye out. The title is gonna be Do Nothing. It's to promote the fact of doing nothing, but actually being listening to music, and try to stop being stressed out by everything that surrounds you, because music is cool. You can listen to music and forget everything. I'll be in concert on the 8th of July. It's gonna be a free thing because it's outside in Paris, in Square d'Anvers, so come and see me.
And yeah, and I also have a show on the 10th, so it's fine, you can go to both. At the Trois Baudets, where I'll be presenting my whole musical project, and it'll be a first really presentation with a solo set and everything. So I'm really excited about that, and I'm looking forward to seeing some familiar faces there.
Well, this is the end of the interview. Thank you so for everything, for the whole process. It was beautiful to see. We're very, very happy with you, truly, and all of the audience. They loved you so much, so they're gonna be very excited for this interview. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.